discounters. No chance. Have a look at these companies. They are huge. $94 billion is the sales of Lidl worldwide. 91 in their arch rival Aldi. Even the local players you know quite well are still very big businesses. There are some objectives that a discounter has, and they are drummed into you on the day you start with the business. I'll tell you a kind of an interesting story. When Aldi starts in a new country, and I was responsible for 4 or 5 market entries, you know what the first thing that is done? The chief executive is expected for 2 weeks to go and live with a normal family. Actually, you have to work quite hard to find a normal family that will accept you and not do strange things that they don't normally do. But that's what we did. So in Australia, in the Czech Republic, in Ireland, I lived with a family just to understand what kind of products they buy, why they buy them, where they shop, what pressures they have on their time. And all of that goes into trying to achieve these objectives. A discounter wants to have a 25% price advantage over its benchmark. Now, I'm not telling you it wants to be the cheapest in the market by 25%, because you can always find a cheaper, less quality product. But if you take the most successful product in the particular category that you think about, the one that the consumer buys the most, then you want to be 25% cheaper than that particular product. And you want to ensure that the product matches the qualities, the taste profile, every feature of that particular item. You want to be the largest purchaser of that item in that market. And you work out every single product you're going to buy, what is the pinnacle? Who is buying the most of that item? And how many shops do I need? And how much volume do I need before I'm number one? The idea being that if you want packaging in the format that you want, if you want the logistics to work how you want, if you want the price you want, you have to be the number one buyer. A nice example. One of the most difficult chocolate products there are to make is the simple Kit Kat. It's not simple at all. Everybody know the Kit Kat product from Nestle? Yeah, good. Well, it's real complex because that biscuit in the middle is crunchy. And when you make a Kit Kat, if you don't know what you're doing, the chocolate which coats it, at the point that it coats it, makes it soft and soggy, you know, like it's chewy, almost like a chewing gum. And so cheap Kit Kats don't taste like real Kit Kats. For 7 years, I tried to find the solution to that. And in the end, I gave up. And I called Nestle and said, look, I know you know we're a private label operator. We copy products. We've tried to copy your Kit Kat. I wrote all this down. Could we discuss about selling your product? I never got a reply. I tried to call them. I never got a reply. It was almost like I didn't exist. So I thought, I'll tell you what I do. I'm going to go to another country. I'm going to buy their product and ship it myself through a wholesaler. Because the guys in the UK were just too smart to sell it to Mr. Paul Foley Incorporated. So I went to Germany, I bought it from Germany, and I shipped the product across. 3 months later, I get a call from the CEO of Nestle to say, in his email, we have hundreds of complaints about Kit Kat in the UK. They all taste like hazelnut. which is a feature of German and Belgian chocolate products. So the recipe is different in Germany than it is in the UK. And we've traced it all back, and they're coming from your store. I'd like to have a meeting with you. And I told him, who's calling? Who's calling? Nestle? Oh, I've never heard of you. It's not quite true what I did, but it's just interesting that I caught his attention. And what it goes to show is that every product is unique. Food is like language. It belongs in the country that you sell it. If you eat a kebab in any other country than Turkey, it's okay, but it's not what you eat at home. It's called a kebab, but it doesn't taste the same. Same with Kit Kat. The UK Kit Kat, the German Kit Kat, just completely different. The third objective is to get close to the consumer with a store for every 10,000 households so that you're accessible. You want to match the best-selling products and really match them. I promise you, I've spent 23 years of my life almost every day, a portion of the day in a test kitchen. There's 5 products laid out. One of them is the benchmark product, the bestseller, and the other 4 are options that Aldi could buy. And a taste program it takes place, and the product is scored. The benchmark product normally comes out very high, and the buyer, who's sitting in the corner praying that his product that he's chosen is going to be the next best or equivalent to the benchmark, that's the process that takes place. If the Aldi item is worse than anybody else's or worse than the benchmark, it's a tough time for that buyer. He does not enjoy the afternoon. If he wins or he's equal to the benchmark, then it's job done. And that process takes place every single day. And by the way, physical capacity, you can try about 40 products per day. Some people will ask me from time to time, why does Aldi sell a restricted range of product, or why do discounters sell a restricted range of product? Well, I tell you, there's no more I could eat during the lunch break to test that they really are truly the same as branded benchmarks. And as a discounter, you want to have the lowest cost of operation in the industry. And I really mean that that becomes a religion. 2 little stories. The first one. The supervisor in the discount business who runs 4 or 5 stores is a key person. And we had one supervisor who was a mathematician. He worked everything out in maths terms. His wife must have hated living with him because he just measured everything. And he worked out in his stores, his staff went to the toilet in a 6-hour shift 2.3 times per day. Really, he worked out that they went to the toilet 2.3 times per day. And he had the idea, why don't I give them all a special route to the toilet? And on the way, they can collect all the empty cardboard boxes on the shelves, because the product is sold in cardboard boxes, and I'll reposition the compactor right next to the toilet so that there is no going out of your way. That used to be an actual job for somebody. When you add up how many stores, how many days, how many trips to the toilet were made, you will not believe how much money we saved. He got a very nice bonus for this idea, and today, if you ask an Aldi employee, what is your toilet route? They will actually tell you what it is. They'll look at you a little bit strangely like, are you an insider? But they will know. How does that manifest itself? Well, first of all, I want to tell you about the sales per SKU. This is a key KPI with regard to buying private label product. And I made 3 comparators here. Walmart, and I'll run through it. This is an enormous organization. It has sales just in the US of $320 billion. It sells 75 different products, and that means that every product is worth 4.3 million US dollars. Each item contributes that to their total sales. You have to take a Pareto principle in retail. I'm sure you all know it. 80% of your sales produces 80% of your sales comes from only 20% of your products. So if you take 80% of the sales, 256 billion, and divide it by just 15,000 products, you end up with a sales per SKU of your best-selling items at $17.1 million dollars per product. Tesco in the UK, 58 billion, he ends up with only 5.8 million. Look at Aldi. This is why market share is never interesting to a discount food retailer. It has sales of just 15 billion. That's a pinprick versus Walmart. But he has sales per SKU of the best sellers of 14.3 million. Walmart's the biggest retailer in the world. By 2020, Aldi would have overtaken Walmart. What does that mean? It means it's pretty much overtaken everybody else so far, only Walmart to go. That is impressive. When you turn up at a supplier and you are offering more volume on the item you want to discuss than Walmart, it's not difficult to open the doors. Ever seen these strange products inside discounters? Weird items, lawnmowers, linen, bicycle products. Why do they do that? They do it because it's extremely profitable. It's 18% of Aldi and Lidl's sales. It contributes 25%, a quarter of all their gross margin. These products are not sold all year round. They're sold for 2 weeks. They're sold exactly in the time period when they're most wanted, and they are the promotional activity, because to try to keep the greatest efficiency in the supply chain, all the core range is never changed in price unless you have to. It's not promoted, so you can predict exactly what you're going to need in terms of the supply chain 3, 5, 6 months in advance, which helps you be efficient. And these items add the excitement in the business. Very important part of the business. I want to tell you a little bit more about this efficiency in the organization. There are really 2 areas of running a food retail business where it's very labor intensive. It's the 2 main areas of the activity.